Welcome to the Bear With Me podcast. I'm your host, Jay, a 34-year-old black man in America who also happens to be a nudist. Now, that's not just a fun fact, it's a fundamental part of how I move through this world. My identity as a black man and a nudist has deeply shaped the way I see myself, others, and the systems around me. I didn't stumble into nudism. I arrived here through a powerful journey of self-discovery, vulnerability, and body positivity. Along the way, I realized that my story isn't just mine. It's one that could resonate with others who are also trying to strip away shame and step into freedom. So here we are. Welcome to my world. Raw, real, and unapologetically bare. This space is about reflection, connection, and peeling back the layers to uncover truth, joy, and liberation. If you decided to tune in today, I don't take it lightly. Thank you. I truly believe this journey will be worth it. Bear with me. Welcome to the Bear With Me podcast. Today, I am being joined by two friends, and collectively, we have created something amazing. It's a new venture, and we're looking to launch soon. So I decided it would be a good opportunity to promote the new venture that we have, but also to just create a space to have conversations about naturism and being a part of something bigger than yourself. A lot of us tend to be solo artists in a sense where we all have a brand and we're the voice or the face behind the brand. But what I've learned is that it's a lot more fun when you have good people doing it with you. So today, I am being joined by Gabby and Dave. So, welcome to the Bear With Me podcast. I would like to give you all the opportunity to introduce yourselves, and then we'll jump right in.
Gabby here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this. Background, what I normally do as my day job is tech sales. Outside of that, I'm a naturist. I've been a naturist since 2023. Since then, I've learned a lot about myself, what I want out of life, my purpose. Main driver of that is a need for community, and naturism have been the safe space for that. And as I was going on through this journey, it's also a healing process for myself. I noticed a lack of, diversity within the space and inclusion. That's pretty much where NBN was born. I didn't know where exactly to go with it. You inspired me to jumpstart this. And through you and also through Dave, I realized like none of this would have been possible if I didn't find my people. And naturism is pretty badass when it comes to that, getting people together, helping each other out. That idea of being communal is at the core of naturism, building something truly special here at NBN.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I'm Dave. I'm an entrepreneur and philanthropist and longtime nudist. I've been a nudist my entire life, which gives me a little bit of a different perspective. But I think it truly is about finding like-minded people who can bring an idea to life. We each brought to this Naturist Business Network a piece of the puzzle, an idea, something that we had thought of, or wouldn't it be great if we had a vehicle for this? Or if there was a way for this sort of connection, but neither of us really had the entire puzzle, nor the bandwidth to really bring it together. But there is something to be said, Gabby, you're right, about meeting a collective of people who are sharing the same ideas and are really vibing off of each other to make something awesome happen. So I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Well, thank you both for joining me today. Normally, I'm the interviewer, the person who puts the show together and is asking all the questions, but it's an honor to have my team with me and sharing in this experience. And so, listeners, I think you all are going to be in for a treat. For those of you who are a part of the naturist community, we would love to build and connect with you. Those of you who aren't, I hope that you are inspired by seeing a collective of people come together with a shared vision and really making a change in the community and doing something fun, exciting, and new. So yes, definitely bear with us. So really quick, as we kind of jump in and get started, I'm curious to hear about you all's experiences. How did you all discover naturism?
For me, nudity has been something in my family, in my culture. Being Jamaican, like nudity isn't like a great thing. You know, sometimes growing up, you have your mom yelling at you and she's fully nude. Looks crazy, but hey, like it's not something that's so unheard of in my life. And so when I discovered it, it was always something that I always wanted to try, but never had anyone to do it with, being a single woman. I met someone back in 2023. We were dating for a little bit. And on our first date, he was like, I'm a nudist. And I'm like, that's awesome. And he took me to my first resort a few weeks after. Honestly, I went in open minded, very excited, did not hesitate to go fully nude. And ever since then, it just became a part of me. On a healing side of it, I found that with the mental health struggles that I have gone through majority of my life, I've found that naturism really helps me put things into perspective, especially when you don't have clothes on. Like you're stripped down. You don't have anything materialistic to judge people on. You're focused on someone's character, their behaviors, and how they interact with each other. And naturism has really made me see the world a bit differently.
I think that's an incredible story. It seems like that would be one hell of a first or second date.
It was honestly, I say this jokingly, I hope he's doing well, but it was a bumble date that lasted too long. But the silver lining here is that naturism came into my life, and it came into my life at a really good time too, because I had just moved back from California to New Jersey. The reason why I did that is because I was getting out of an abusive relationship. Me and my ex had broken up like earlier that year, but it was kind of like those, you're broken up, but you still got loose ends. Then I finally moved back and I felt like, okay, all of that is in the past. And so I started dating again. And lo and behold, this person was like, I'm a nudist. And I said, you know what? Go for it. Do something bold, do something brave. It turned out to be the best thing in my life.
I love that.
Wow. I love that. So similar to you, my now wife, our first conversation, because we were long distance, just about like, what are we doing? What is this? I actually told her that I was a nudist. It didn't quite go the way your experience did. We actually never talked about it again for like 2 years and acted like it didn't exist. So I'm really glad that you had that experience, even though you mentioned that you all aren't together anymore. You were still able to be exposed to something beautiful, and without your exposure, we may not be here today. So shout out to
Great.
him, I guess.
I agree. Let's not shout him out though.
Okay.
But I will say it's really interesting to go back to that point where you're not hiding behind clothes or anything materialistic, and you're focused more on the interpersonal relationship, the character of the person and how they are behaving with one another. I realized, like, with this newfound, like, being able to see people for who they really are, it's really helpful when you as a person want to be more ethical in naturism, because now you're noticing things that are just not right, right? Whether it's having exclusionary business practices or not making people feel welcomed in a naturist space. Like, it's hard to hide behind things because there's nothing to hide behind. So being ethical in naturism is more needed than ever because people are more focused on who you are rather than what you have.
I love that. We'll definitely talk more about ethical naturism here in a sec. But Dave, I want to give you an opportunity to jump in and tell us your story. Now, you mentioned that you've been a nudist since like birth. Your parents put a pamper on you and you were like, no thanks.
Pretty much.
Talk to me
Yeah.
about your origin story. How did you become aware of naturism?
Yeah. So I actually became a nudist before I knew what that was. I identify as a nudist and not a naturist. You can identify as whatever you want. There is very little difference between them, but I'm just a little bit older than both of you. Nudist was the go-to term. I started experiencing outdoor nakedness very young and really enjoyed it. It was just my preferred way of being outside, and that translated to inside. This was before I even knew what nudism or naturism was. It was just a feeling, a thought, a way to experience the world. And it wasn't until a few years later, whenever I was finally granted permission by my parents to get a home computer, that's how old I am.
Okay.
I was finally granted access to a computer at home, and I got one for Christmas. I really started to feel like I was the only one like me. I started exploring the internet, and I found that I wasn't, that there was a whole community of people out there in the world that was more comfortable experiencing the world the same way I was. That's really where it started from there. But I did go through a period. I got to college, and that was the first time I really started to experience body image issues. I was a little bit of a late bloomer because it took me until college. To Gabby's point, when you're nude and around other nude people, everything is pretty much normal. There wasn't a feeling that my body is different from this body, and that's bad. In college, when you're meeting new friends, they're from all across the country, if they're from different backgrounds, it can really be a mind expanding experience, but it also can shut you down a little bit. I really started to have some body image issues the first 2 years of college, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I letting this get to me? Why am I letting this change who I am, who I've been my whole life? I got back in touch with who I was, found the right friends, and came back to it. It's been a wrap ever since.
And again, I'm grateful that you had the experience that you had, because I believe that the experiences that you've had ultimately have led you to this point in being a NBN founder. And I don't believe that this vision could have come to where it is without you. So thank you, Dave, for leaning into those experiences. And
Yeah.
even as you were like in college and you dealt with some things, I just applaud your ability to navigate through those and come out better on the other side.
Thank you.
Gabby, you spoke a little bit about this in your introduction and the origin story. Now, when you have 3 founders on a call, we've all been like puzzle pieces and we have our different parts of the story. So I'm going to throw mine out there really quick. And then Dave, if you can jump in and kind of talk about your piece of the puzzle as far as like the origin story goes with NBN. And then Gabby, you can round us out. My puzzle piece really started with me asking myself, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? It's like that question, I'm in my 30s. I've been working at a job that I love for maybe 2 to 3 years. I had to wake up one morning. I was comfy in my bed, and the room was just right as far as the temperature was concerned. I mean, the whole morning was perfect. And the only thing that kind of ruined my vibe that morning was the fact that I had to wake up early and go into an office. And so I asked myself, like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And it didn't take any time for me to answer that question. I was like, I really want to be naked for a living, like, and make a honest living and not have to wear clothes. So then the kind of mind that I have is like, once I ask myself a question, I'll go on a deep dive and literally stay there until I start to find the answers. And so I started Googling things, and podcasting is a thing, Patreon is a thing, YouTube content. I already had plans and ideas for all of these things, but I never saw it as a way to actually create a sustainable way to live my life and doing the work that I really wanted to do. But then I started to think about, like, I could probably reach these goals a lot quicker if I had community. And I'm a part of several naturist communities. However, I've always wanted, I mean, this is going back maybe 10 years. I've always wanted to have like a group me or something where all of the major players in the nudist and naturist space could come together and just share ideas, to brainstorm, to promote things in hopes that we could reach like a larger audience. Then I met Gabby. I came across your Instagram page, and I consider myself like an expert in all things nudist and naturist. So when I saw a new profile kind of pop up on the scene and I didn't recognize the name or the face, I did what I normally do. I just started doing research and checking out your content. I think I reached out, we got on the phone, and then something magical happened. Like I saw myself in another human being, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna be friends for life. And this person is somebody I would love to collaborate with. And then Dave, it was similar. The same thing kind of happened with us. I want to say we connected through the podcast space and through you owning a business and you having some resources. I know you reached out just as somebody that just wanted to learn more about what I was doing. I was interested in connecting to possibly have you on the podcast. But then again, it was another situation in which you're meeting somebody who's a complete stranger and it just feels familiar. I don't even know how you two connected. I was talking to you both around the same time, and I shared my vision with Gabby and I shared my vision with Dave. The next thing I know, I'm at work and I got added to a chat.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to the chat, you all had already been talking for like hours. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, that was amazing.
And
That was
so,
synergy.
but it was beautiful because I had been talking about something NBN like for about 10 years. And then to be invited into a chat with a lot of my passion and ideas already out there, but it coming from two other people, like for the first time, I felt seen or heard in that way because I often feel like I'm the crazy guy in the group. Like I have these wild ideas, these things that, aren't really ever going to happen. But then when you share those ideas with people and they agree, and not only do they agree, they put the action behind it. Because I'm not the action friend either. I mean, I'm challenging that notion, with the Bear With Me podcast and putting myself out there, but I'm usually the creative, the idea person. And so I work well with people who are a little bit more administrative, and to see that kind of happening and I didn't have to take the leadership role in that was awesome. So that's my puzzle piece. Dave, I'm interested to hear more about yours. How did you come into this NBN space? What's the origin story as told by Dave?
Yeah. So the thing about being a business owner is it's like the biggest hustle ever. You have to drum up your own business. Rowan Skincare is a natural skincare company listed on several business directories, but some of them are very generic. If there's not a draw pulling someone to that site or directory, you might not get the exposure you're looking for. I'm also a part of other business directories that have a very niche market. So that seemed like it got more traction because they're marketing their business network to a very specific core group of consumers. And so I started to think, there's niche business networks and directories for targeting these different consumer blocks. But as a lifelong nudist, who's marketing to us? Who is selling things to us? Who sees us as a serious consumer? Because sometimes our lifestyle gets to be the joke because we walk around naked. That's an important part of our identity, but there's more to it than that. We are consumers too. We need and want to buy goods as well. It might just not be clothes, but there are things that we need and want. No one is treating us like a consumer block that has buying power. As a person who owned a nudist business, a skincare company, I really started to challenge, why not? And if not, do I need to create it? I was having that thought around the same time that I met you, Jay. We really got to know each other by promoting each other's stuff on social media without even knowing each other. And I think that's the power of social media. There's a lot of negatives, but being able to promote people who you believe in, whose content you like, whose mission you support, being able to cross promote is really important. That's how we met. And it did pop off really organically and naturally. As I was getting to know you, this idea for a business directory of nudist and naturist owned businesses was really germinating. At that same time, I became aware of Gabby's social media, and I was doing the same thing. I was like, wow, her content is incredible. And I was liking everything. These shots are incredible. Like, the messages that she's bringing with this photography is incredible, like full support. And that's when, Jay, you were like, I've got this idea. And I was like, I've been having an idea too. And you're like, actually, I know also this girl named Gabby. And I'm like, wait, hold up. And so it just ended up being this perfect moment where I was really looking for a place to promote not only my business, but also other nudist and naturist owned businesses, and wondering, how can we really make the nudist consumer block a thing that doesn't already exist? Jay, you have a natural talent for promotion and networking, and that is invaluable. And then Gabby has this great vision. I'll let her speak to it, so I'm not speaking for her, but she has this great vision of like, what does a modern nudist and naturist world look like, where ethical naturism is the star of the show? How do we change the game for a different generation and bring this message to more people? I was really inspired by that.
And so, Gabby, I don't know if you have anything to add to round out the story. And then right after that, we'll jump into why NBN? What's the vision and the mission behind the brand?
To round that out, this is how it started for me. I frequent a Sky Farm Resort in Jersey. There's a period in time when you join, and then for about a year or so, you're on a probationary period before you're offered full membership. And in like the end of December, very early January, I got a email saying, "Oh, you passed probation. You're part of the community." That inspired me to build out more community. And so that's kind of how the Crown Nudie started. I wanted to reach out to my underrepresented voices in naturism, from BIPOC community to LGBTQIA, anyone who's going through like maybe they're neurodivergent or they're going through some sort of struggle and they need other people to connect with to kind of, move through those challenges. And you guys, I was so shocked that the two of you, Jay, Dave, you were so receptive to it. When I started talking to Jay and you're like asking me, what is it that you hope for? What is your purpose? What are your goals? And to find out that you and I aligned on it, and out of nowhere, Dave was like, if you're really serious about this, I can help with the site. I can help with branding. I can do such and such. And I'm like, this nature is superpower. This is our superpower,
Yeah.
community. It just warms my soul, but also it gives me hope that one day I can get out of corporate America and be with my people and thrive and build naturist economy up, where it's built on sustainable collaboration and really uplifting our community and underrepresented voices. So I'm like through the roof. I am so excited that even the start of the Crown Nudie, how that led me to here.
And thank you both for sharing more about your story. We've had meetings and calls, but I feel like a lot of times we kind of jump right into the business, right? We don't have moments where we sit down and exchange stories like this. Although I've heard bits and pieces of these stories, I think that, it's really important to have moments like this, because it really just re-energizes me in a sense to just that this is something real. And hearing you all's stories and being able to connect with some of the things that you all are saying just, again, reminds me that I'm not alone. So thank you all for being vulnerable and sharing your piece of the puzzle. All right, so now kind of just thinking about why NBN. Why is it important that we start this journey together right now?
I think now more than ever, like very important that we're banding together to dismantle misconceptions. I would love to see a world where we can do the same things as mainstream, have our businesses, but we so happen to be naturists or nudists. And it wants us to really be an example of how a naturist community and how naturist businesses can run ethically and being diverse and inclusive. Sharing what we learn from this and, providing frameworks for other naturist business to join in on the ethical naturist movement.
Dave?
I agree first and foremost, but I also think this is an opportunity to change the way naturism intersects with business. I'm hoping that it legitimizes our lifestyle a bit more. We're good to go. But when businesses see that there's also buying power in the nudist and naturist community, nothing talks like money. And so, having that be assigned to the greater mainstream textile community to say, look, we are a legitimate group of people. We are consumers also, and we deserve to have your attention just like this group or that group you would market to. And we'll reward you with brand loyalty and our dollars if you do that. And I think you can do both. And that's why I'm involved, is because I think you can have that capitalist mindset and legitimize your lifestyle in a new way by presenting yourself as a consumer block with buying power, promote different voices, elevate different voices, elevate new perspectives that are emerging in the lifestyle to attract more people to the lifestyle, and represent an upfront and honest way of ethical behavior within the community.
That definitely makes sense. For me, the only thing I would throw in is that I remember when I first started posting my episodes and promoting solo by myself, or if I was interviewing guests who didn't necessarily use their social medias to push, the episodes that we were on together, I noticed I was getting really good feedback at the time. However, I saw opportunities to get better. And so I noticed that when I would collaborate on an episode with people who are very social media friendly and comfortable resharing that, putting the stuff out to their communities, it seemed like my views or listens would double over time. And that speaks volumes to the importance of community. If you have an idea, it's a lot easier for those ideas to be shared if multiple people have microphones and are speaking to their respective communities. We can all do what we love solo, right? But I think for us founders, and we have others as well who weren't able to make the call, so shout out to them. It's a lot easier to get a point across or to launch something that matters on a larger scale if you have 4 or 5 people speaking about the same things. If those 5 people each bring in 5 people, and then those 5 people bring in 5 more people, a movement is started. So I'm really sold on the community aspect. That's something that is central to my values and the things that I love. It's my why for NBN right now. Can we talk about the core values of NBN and how those play out in all the decisions that we're making?
Yes. For the core values, right? If you're thinking of becoming part of NBN as a naturist-owned business, you're essentially saying that you are for ethical naturism. You are also for sustainable collaboration, which is, I think, a core part of building a naturist economy because it's really built on community. And you're also saying by being part of NBN that you are for radical inclusion. And so I hope that this can be a stepping stone for people who see that naturism can be at the forefront and have buying power. You can do that through being ethical, being collaborative, and being inclusive.
Yeah, we launch on April 7th. The first step of this vision is really a business listing, a place where nudists and naturists own businesses can share who they are and list their business with us. And this is a way for nudist and naturist consumers to find those businesses. So it's this within community network. Of course, textile consumers are welcome, and all businesses want to promote all people, so that totally makes sense. But this is really for nudists and naturists by nudists and naturists. And so that is the primary goal of the business listing. And then eventually there are plans to make this a real hub for business owners to not only have their business listed, but also engage with us in new ways to learn from us. So how do you make your business an ethical naturist business? What does that even mean? And how do you do it? Also, what's the current forecast for businesses in the current economy and things like that? The step one will launch on Monday, and we're really excited about it.
I'm excited for things we have coming up in the future, from not just the hub, but also being part of that hub is you have the collaborative element in a very safe and secure environment. What was missing in similar organizations like ours was ensuring the space was not dominated by individuals who were performative naturists or using naturism as a way to do nefarious things like using naturism for sex. And another thing we're going to have is additional resources to help you build up your business, whether through marketing and ad services or co-hosting events with NBN to raise funds for your business. So there's so much that we want to provide for our community. It, like Dave mentioned, it's going to come out in phases, but I am excited to have this grow in real time with everyone in the naturist community.
So, Gabby, I appreciate you for jumping straight into the future. Dave talked about where we are right now. We're launching very soon, Monday, actually. And then you rounded it out and talking a little bit about the future. And so, as we prepare to kind of close the episode, would one of you like to talk about, who is NBN for? If I'm a business or if I'm a organization, if I'm a creative and I'm looking for support in a community and I'm looking for a platform in which I can promote whatever I'm working on, who is this for?
I love the way Gabby shares this, so I'm going to let her take this one.
Naturism encompasses a lot of different segments, whether it's hospitality and travel, clubs, arts, entertainment, media, podcasts. You got wellness businesses like, naked yoga, and anyone within those segments who desire and value, everything that encompasses ethical naturism. This is for you. I love the fact that you can go into our community. There is someone who is selling a product like Rowan Skincare to naturists. I just want to gather them up, this is for you. This is a safe and secure place to collaborate, to come up with ideas, to drive this mission together. I am super excited for Monday and what the future has to hold for our community.
When I think about who NBN is for, from my perspective, I'm thinking about people like us. The Crown Nudie was you, one person. growing skincare. Dave, I don't know if you have an extensive team, but for the most part, I get that you're the one really pushing a lot of the initiatives. When I think about the Bear With Me podcast, I have friends and supporters who help me with ideas and you send feedback. But for the most part, I'm the only person that pushes record and I'm the person that's on the mic. So I'm excited to create something that can serve as a hub to support smaller businesses. Now I have my dream list, right? I have the Anners and BNA and all of these larger groups that I would love for them to also join in with what we're doing and champion our mission and our cause. But I'm also thinking about the Skinny Dip Days who, they're a fundraiser for an amazing cause. Really just one or two people are leading that initiative. And so I'm always thinking about how can we create ways for those people who may be a team of one to not feel that way and in turn have the support of a much larger network. And so I'm excited, just like you all, to launch this and see where it goes and where it grows. I think the team that we have established has been amazing, but I'm just looking forward to where we go from here. So as we come to the close of this episode, I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to have a closing remark, what you all would like our listeners to remember after listening to this episode.
I want your listeners, especially those interested in joining, to know that their presence in that space will be valued. I encourage anyone who has a dream, especially one that is such in a small niche world as naturism, to really just go for it. I spent a lot of time, dreaming and saying without going forward with it. And just, you're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect, but you have a place where other people are going to be going through the same thing as well. And no one's going to judge you for it. No one's going to expect 100% perfection from the very start. You don't have to feel afraid to share your ideas. I was scared when I started the Crown Nudie, but I found it easier through community. And so that's the last thing I want to leave for your listeners, is that if you want to join NBN, just know that you will be valued.
And I would just add to that for any business owners who are like, should I list my business as this, even though I am a nudist, but I'm not publicly nudist? What do you really have to lose? I think the bulk of the other people that are going to be coming to this site as consumers to check your business are seeking out a nudist or naturist-owned business. You only have your business to promote and the hustle to keep going. So you really don't have much to lose. There really is not, in this day and age, much to lose when it comes to people knowing that you're a nudist or naturist. So come on in. The water is warm.
And you all said it perfectly. So with that, thank you all so much for joining me today. I just want to say thank you to our listeners and those who will hopefully consider joining NBN's network. We look forward to having you. This is the Bear With Me podcast, and I'm your host, Jay. Until next time.